Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to address the conference between the Volga and the Ganges held by the Institute for the Study of Asian and European Studies of the National Academy of Sciences of Tajikistan in affiliation with the National Silk Road Foundation and the Gorchakov Foundation of Russia. I was invited to visit Tajikistan in order to participate live in this event. However, unfortunately, I could not do so because of some pressing constraints. But I am glad to be back at the invitation of this august forum in order to apprise you all of my views regarding pressing international and historical concerns. The theme of this conference, From the Volga to the Ganges, is indeed a relevant term in today's circumstances and for tomorrow's aspirations, and it needs to be expounded upon. However, I will deal with the impediments to this scheme because they are very numerous and they have to be overcome before anything else can be dealt with in this regard. The Volga and the Ganges are not only major rivers, but symbolic, folkloric and cultural elements in their own right. The Volga is a major riverine artery of Russia, straddling the border between its European and Asian portions. It is truly a Eurasian river. The Ganges is the major riverine feature of central North India, being the center of a major geographic feature, the Gangetic Plain, which became the pivot of the evolution of the Indo-Aryan civilization. Likewise, the area between the Volga and the Ganges constitutes a huge chunk of Central Eurasia, which can be considered as the heartland which unifies this huge supercontinent. Starting with the Ural Mountains of Northwest Asia, it contains sweeping areas of the western Siberian steppe, followed by the vast Turco-Iranian lands of Central Asia, and the Pamir mountain knot or roof of the world, in addition to the Caspian Sea, Iran, Afghanistan, with the Indus Valley, which is now called Pakistan, and finally the Gangetic Plain. Not only do these areas form the centers for a substantial amount of the world's population and resources, but they host major hubs of agricultural and industrial production, in addition to being historic pivots of the great Persian, Chinese, and Vedic civilizations of history. Talking of history, the area between the Volga and the Ganges saw the expansion of the eastward Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European peoples to create the majestic civilizations of Persia and India. It later provided the stage for the eastward expansion of the Scythian steppe peoples, which eventually resulted in the rise of the Turkic races, whose multitude of empires and kingdoms, both before and after the advent of Islam, came to dominate this whole region. In the modern epoch, the presence of the Russian state, the significance of the territory between the Volga and the Ganges has greatly enhanced political potentials within the unique Eurasian cultural and historical framework. It has become the stage on where the benevolent European power of Russia has been confronted by the malevolent Western European Atlantic powers in their greedy and extreme fight to dominate the world and consume its resources. In this speech, I hope to dwell upon the minor and major impediments and challenges presented to what is otherwise a unique and natural form of political and cultural integration, and its likely prospects in the near term. Without wasting further time, I will, in my opinion, get straight to what I think is the major impediment to Eurasian unity and harmony in the area between the Volga and the Ganges, Pakistan. I must elaborate that although I represent Pakistan, especially in this conference, I'm the only Pakistani delegate to speak. My views regarding Pakistan have to be truthful. I'm not here to tell lies. I have to be impartial and objective as a scholar, as an analyst, also even as an activist. And in a similar vein, the responsibility also falls to my lot to acquaint my listeners with its realities, because not many people may be aware of these. Thirdly, keeping all of the above in view, it is only appropriate that I suggest suitable solutions in this regard, even if to some they are unacceptable. For petty reasons, the subject under discussion is serious, being central to the human future at this critical juncture of history. The subject of Eurasia is one that concerns the whole of humanity. It is an irony that the country called Pakistan, which should serve as a major unifying factor and an interface enabling harmony between the Turco-Iranian, Central Asian and Indian ethnospheres in the Eurasian scheme, has become the exact opposite. As a corrupt entity facilitating Western European Atlanticist predation in this global region, a baleful and disruptive influence which furthered the agenda to sow discord and perniciousness. To see why this is so, we will have to undertake a brief examination of the history and the structure of the entity known as Pakistan. Pakistan was created primarily by the departing British Empire in 1947. When weakened by World War II, it had to submit to the pressure of the Indian bourgeoisie and vacate that portion of its dominions as part of the latter's demand for political independence. Britain had been replaced on the global stage by its protege across the Atlantic, the United States of America, and had wanted to vacate India in a manner that would enable the previous rulers and their successors to maintain their influence under these new post-World War II conditions and in a discrete new indirect shape, which was not discernible by all. To this end, it was necessary to establish a massive yet weak client state which would be run by a parasite elite subsisting wholly on Western financial and technical aid, with the Anglo-American factor predominant in that respect. While various political excuses, primarily involving the religion of Islam, have been proffered throughout the history of Pakistan to justify the creation of this entity, it has also performed its true role without compunction, the role which I will now describe below. These roles have also fostered an atmosphere of intense and endemic corruption in Pakistani society. However, the changing global geopolitical picture during the last decade has rendered Pakistan's function increasingly irrelevant. It is due to this and the hopeless corruption that Pakistan's principal Anglo-American sponsors have begun distancing themselves from what is now an unwanted liability for them. I will elaborate later on what I mean by this. Pakistan is principally a structure created around the Indus Valley geographic feature, centered on the five-river Indus system from which the Persian regional name of Punjab, or five waters, is derived. The proverbial fertility of this area has ensured that it remained a center of civilization since the earliest times, notably the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro cultures. In later periods, the Indus Valley has remained the theater of numerous Eurasian invasions from the north and west. The early ones led to the expulsion of the Dravidian Adivasis from this region, followed by the establishment of the Vedic civilization in Gangetic North India, Subsequently, the area was invaded by marauding Scythian hordes from the Eurasian steppe, whose mixing with various local populations variously gave rise to the Turco-Iranian Pashtun-Afghan ethnicity, as well as the Indic Jat the Indic Jat caste. Later eruptions of Proto-Turkic Hepthalite Huns and the early Turks, such as the Khazars, added the Indian Kashtriya tribal category, added to the Indian Kashtriya tribal categories such as Rajputs and Gujars, who were previously unknown in the Vedic system. Let us see how this history enabled the foundation of today's deep problem which we are talking about in this speech. The Indus Valley thus came to represent not only a center of civilization and invasions, but more importantly the turbulent watershed zone between the Turco-Iranian, Central Asia and Indian subcontinental worlds. The Indus River represents the effective natural divider between the two historic ethnospheres of Eurasia, the Iran Shahri and India. As such, it also encapsulates a kind of political instability which outsiders with ulterior motives find useful in fulfilling their mischief. Any state entity built around this would intrinsically be unstable and require external political influences to hold it together, such as Pakistan nowadays is. That is what has happened here in the past and what is precisely going on now in Pakistan. The Pashtun Afghan descendants of the unruly and marauding steppe hordes which invaded the Indus Valley so long ago are now the inhabitants of a decaying society, exploited by the corrupt proxies of a foreign-dominated neo-colonial order for nefarious ends, and they are not interested in history, whether it be their own or that of others. In fact, they have nothing to be interested in, for their instinct is to rob and grab. They still don't know whether their father was Hebrew, Greek, Hindu, Persian, or some other, and neither do they care. Nor will I waste my time in trying to inform such unworthy types of the proper facts concerning them, which are quite clear. Attempting this would be trying to make a silk purse from a sow's ear. Likewise, the Punjabis descended from these hordes are forever searching for suitable masters to patronize them and enunciating servility. The Indus Valley problem has only one solution: serious social re-engineering before all else. In the present set of circumstances, such measures are clearly impossible. To conclude my speech, the present time is a critical juncture in human history of wars and explosive changes, unprecedented on the global level and on the regional level in my own country of Pakistan. Put very simply, in the case of Pakistan and its surrounding regions, the solution lies in the correct political reconstitution of both the Iran Shahri and the Indian entities in keeping with their historical past, in addition to massive social and cultural modification and re-engineering. The problem posed by the Indus Valley's ethnic character and constitution can be solved only by serious re-engineering before all else, but in the present circumstances, such measures are clearly impossible. It should also be clear that Pakistan is designed only to fulfill certain malevolent geopolitical requirements of certain players. Its survival is guaranteed by the aid given to it for this intention, but in the present turn of events and in the present geopolitical paradigm, it is fast becoming obsolete and decrepit. in addition to the corruption which is consuming it physically. The relentless pursuit of greed by the Western world is directly reflected in the proverbial social disorder and breakdown now prevailing throughout Pakistani state and society. The need of the hour is the growth of healthy national and organic ethno-cultural structures along the lines possible only in a Eurasian milieu. However, unfortunately, I do not foresee such possibilities anytime soon, as I fear that an epochal period of destructive global war will soon engulf us all, and its probability is very likely. A nuclear holocaust of the type that now threatens the world will leave no place for the purveyors of geopolitical mischief, nor their sidekicks or hirelings, that is, for those of them that survive. They will be left high and dry and will die off in the very different world which will emerge after such an event. The Eurasian political model, it seems, points the way to the future human condition, but it is evident that it has flaws insofar as its acknowledgement of various human and spiritual truths are concerned, and the coming war will see to it that we confront them. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I end my speech. I hope I have not deviated from the topic of this conference, and I have added to it and enriched it. And I hope that I will also have many more opportunities to address you and interact in the future. God bless.